I'm always looking at the screen instead of looking ahead. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi there. Hi, Barb.
Nice to
Good to
see
see
you.
you. And hi, Judy.
Nice to see you.
Wow.
We have 3 of us on ours.
Awesome.
Whoa.
Right.
Very cool. All right. Well, we'll just get started right now. So my name's Mary. And is everybody in, or should I wait a sec?
Only one of the Judys is having trouble connecting with her audio.
Yeah.
But so far, whatever the count was, is what we have.
Okay. Well, hello and welcome to the Rum River Art Center. My name is Mary Leah Marshall, and Tom Pace is here as your host, and we're excited to have this class through the city of Ramsey. And I think there's 3 more classes that you might want to tune into down the road. But anyway, today we're doing a sunset silhouette painting. I'm going to take you through it step by step, and we're just excited to be here with you guys tonight. So welcome. And Tom will call on you and you can tell us your name and let's see, what did we think we were going to ask him, Tom? Something
what their favorite painting medium was.
Yeah, something that you enjoy working with as far as art materials. Yeah, I think that would be fun. So I'm going to let Tom take over for that part.
Okay, if everybody could unmute. And Barb B, we'll start with you.
Hi, I'm Barbie, and it's so nice to see
I
you.
know, it's been quite a while. I'm trying to remember, maybe summertime, Barb.
I think, well, no, it's before the COVID.
No, I think, well, okay. Oh, yeah. It's so good to see you.
Thank you. You as well. I do need to bow out around 7, so don't take it personally. I have another conflict.
Okay.
And I love abstract watercolor. Watercolor doesn't particularly like me, but I really am enjoying watercolor.
Okay. Doreen, how about you?
Hi, I'm Doreen, and I have a cat here that's being a little naughty here. So you see something walk across the screen, that's him, or I should say. I do, like Barb, I do enjoy watercolor, but it doesn't like me. So I keep trying, and one of these days I might actually succeed. So.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Kim, how about you?
Hi, I'm Kim. I did watercolors the first half of 2020 in the lockdown. Then I started doing acrylics, and I came back to watercolors, and I'm also working with clay, air dry clay, because I don't have a pill and I can't go anywhere to do that other stuff. So that's about it.
Okay, thank you.
Watercolors, acrylics, and clay.
Judy Marcus?
Yes, so.
Hi, Judy.
Hi, so I'm in another class with Mary Leah. I feel like I'm becoming a groupie. I'll join a
Oh, we love it. We love it.
And watercolor, just doing art and doing with Mary Leah is just so helpful for my stress level. So anyway, my husband has some health issues, and then there's COVID. So I'm just so grateful for the time we do this. So thank you.
All right, thank you. And we're to the box of Matthew Price. Could the three of you ladies please introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Laura Price. Sorry, that's my son's name on there, Matthew, but
that's okay.
I'm Laura Price, and I have not done watercolors before. I have done some acrylics that I've enjoyed, but I wanted to try this, and I invited my sisters-in-law, and we decided to do it together.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Do the sister-in-laws have a name?
Yes, my name is Karina Price.
Okay.
And this will be my first watercolor class, but I've done like making cards, but
it counts.
No painting, scrapbooking, but I'm very excited.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm Beth Price, and I did watercolor in college just for a test, So I haven't done it since then, and I also do cards and scrapbooking. So.
All right, thank you. All right, Linda B, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
I've dabbled in all kinds of art in my life. I've probably started watercolor about a year and a half ago, so I'm still very much a beginner.
Okay.
I also like alcohol.
Alcohol inks, I think
Alcohol
she
inks,
said. Yeah.
yep. Okay, Judy number 2, how about you?
Is that me?
Yep.
Yes. Hi, Judy. It's been a
Hi.
while.
Yep. Well,
doing
I've
good?
done both the acrylic oil and watercolor, and I like them all.
All right, thank you.
Linda.
Linda, how are you tonight?
This Linda?
Yep.
Must be. Oh, hi. This is my first class in any kind of art since probably elementary school. So I'm happy to be here.
All
Good
right.
for you.
Thank you. Twitcher 8, I forgot your name.
My name is Joan, and this is my second watercolor class. So just beginning. I've done acrylics before, so have some experience in that regards.
Okay, thank you. Danielle, how about you?
Hi, Danielle. I really like the watercolors. This is my second class with Rum River Online. I did the Dragonfly one, so I really enjoy it. Done a couple of the videos you have posted online, so looking forward to this. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Got Judy.
Laura Palmer, could you turn on your video and introduce yourself?
Does that work? Oh,
Yep.
hi.
Hi.
I am Laura. I have never watercolored before other than in some card making. I'm mostly a paper crafter, so this is my first watercolor.
Okay, thank you. Virginia, how about you? Can you unmute and turn on your video?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Virginia. This is the first class I am with the Ramsey. I'm excited with that. And hi, everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Hong Lin, how about you? Could you turn on your video and say hi and introduce yourself?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
And what kind of painting or what kind of medium do you like to use?
Hello.
Oh, she was in our class.
This is my first. This is my first class to do watercolor with Mary, but I had a class before.
That was drawing. The drawing class.
Right.
Oh, good. So good to see you.
Yeah, thank you for joining us again.
Yeah, awesome.
But I also, I'm learning the acrylic.
Acrylic. Yes, I think she's taking
watercolor.
I haven't seen her before. No.
Yeah.
Maybe the new one.
Yeah, nice. Nice to see you all. That's awesome.
Okay, everybody, don't forget to pin the speaker, Mary Leah, when she does her demonstration, so you can make sure to see that video large on your screen. And I'm going to turn this back over to Mary Leah. Thank you for joining us.
Awesome. Yeah, so there are so many wonderful classes here at the Art Center that you can do virtually, and so many of them are recorded, so you can go back and check out some of the things we've done previously. And then there's some fun things coming up down the road with watercolor. There's a class actually starts in a couple weeks. It's an 8-week class, but there are all kinds of things here, so it's really been a nice community. And I feel that's part of what we do, is that we're building community, and we have people from all over the country that are taking these classes. It's quite surprising. So anyway, enough about that. So I'm going to take you through this process step by step. I'm going to show you the materials that I have, and we'll do this project together. So we're going to have you looking down on my work so that you can see what I'm up to. So, and we'll get started, okay? So here we go. Yeah, thanks, Tom. I'm just going to put this back on. All right, so, whoops, you're seeing my Kleenex there, aren't you? I'm going to move that over just a little bit. There. Okay, so this is a board that I use. It's somebody thought it was a painting. I suppose it could be a painting, but it's just a piece of chipboard that I like to put down. And I'm not sure what paints you all have, but this is one of the sets that we have at the Art Center. You can purchase kits, and this is one of the brands that you can buy. And it's nice because, of course, all the pigments are right here. So I'll go over how to use these, because it sounds like several of you are just learning about this. I have a little mixing tray. This is not very big, that I will use. And then also, this is my messy mixing tray. It's just a a nice container that I have a lot of room here. These are tubed paints. In other words, they're from a tube that we squirt out on here, and then they keep, which is really nice. So I just get them wet and then I can use them again. And then this is one of the brushes that I've been using. This is it comes from Dick Blick. It's a Scholastic Golden Taklon. It's a round, size 10, and you'll notice that the handle is short. You want to stay away from a long-handled watercolor brush, in my opinion. But anyway, this is a really good brush. I won't go over too much about brushes, but usually in our watercolor, excuse me, I'm gonna have to get a drink of water. This is a bigger brush, and this is a 16. And again, this is from Princeton, and that's a good brand if you're looking for brushes. So I also have a pencil, which you're gonna need a pencil. Just a number 2 pencil will do, and some sort of eraser. Don't use the end of the pencil for your erasing if you can avoid it, because it will leave marks and stuff on your paper. I have to get a little drink of water a minute. All right. All right, so, and then you need a little container for water. I don't like to use glass, but if that's all you have, that's fine. And Tom is so great, he always makes sure that I have clean water. And
Thank you.
yeah, and so that's important to think about. So now I'm going to go over this too, because it's important. If you're a lefty, I know Barb's heard me talk about this before, everybody that's taken class from me, Judy too. But if you're a lefty, like I am, you want all your stuff that you're going to use on your left side, basically. But I have my paint sort of over here, just so you can see them. Got my paper in front of me. If I'm right-handed, I want it all on my right side, especially that water, okay, and my brushes, so that it just helps you to have everything in the right spot, because otherwise you can sort of drip things onto your paper, okay? So we're going to start out doing a little paint mixing, and I'm going to talk to you about mixing some colors together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my brush, excuse me, get my brush wet, and I'm going to dip it into the yellow. So the wetness is what will activate this paint. And then I'm going to put it on my mixing tray. Now, if you don't have a mixing tray, you can just use the top of a cottage cheese container, a yogurt container, something simple. That's the nice thing about watercolors, is these things are portable, and you don't have to invest a lot of money in fancy stuff unless you want to. So I'm starting with yellow, and I'm going to now rinse my brush in my water. And so I'll show you that when I rinse, there's my water container. That's kind of a big water container, but I rinse it, and then I get, oops, do you see that I'm getting some of it off? And then I can also use a tissue to kind of get some of it off, okay? And then I'm going to dip it into the orange. So I'm going to use this tray to mix these two guys together, right? So you should be doing this along with me. And I can go back and get more yellow, but just rinse your brush first. Maybe I want more yellow. Or maybe I want to add a little bit more orange. If you look, you can see several different colors here. So did you guys get a small little piece of paper with your set? No? You just, what did you get, Barb? Just one sheet or? Okay. Okay. Well, so let's see here. Do you have a piece of paper nearby that you could use? Just like a piece of, oh, I thought that they got these. They didn't get the small pieces. Even just a piece of regular paper like this will be fine. You can just use that. I'm going to do it on here, but I have this nice mixture and I can put it on my paper and see what it's like. Okay. I can also do this. I can get some yellow and mix it right in there and let them mingle together right on the paper. So when we work with watercolor, we're mixing on some sort of a tray, but we're also allowing the mixtures to mingle together on the watercolor paper. Okay, so let's say I'm going to dip into this magenta, which is really pretty. And what's that going to be like when it gets in with this orange and yellow? And then I can put it down here and see what it's like. Now, another fun thing to do is into this situation. This is wet now, right here. Whoops. Okay, so you can see that it dripped right in there. But I can add color into a damp wash. So these are called washes. And I can add color in there and let that mix as well. So you can do this because it's wet, and you can see what happens when these colors mix together. So we don't always just use the color right out of the paint set. We can mix them and get some beautiful combinations. Okay, and you can see how this orange is flowing nicely here into the yellow, and it creates a lovely combination. So, and also just think about this with watercolor as opposed to acrylic, we're not using white paint, we're adding water to make it lighter. So if I want this, orange, there's my orange right out of the set. If I want it to be lighter, all I'm going to do is add some water to it. And you see that it lightens it. So that would be how I would get a lighter value of my orange by adding water. So I can have several different values here, the dark, more of a medium here, and then a lighter value. Okay, so that's kind of fun to think about. And you know, a lot of times we want these colors to mix and blend right on our watercolor paper. Okay, so another fun thing to do, and I know that if you guys don't have this paper, like I said, just use a piece of paper, like printing paper or something that you might have on hand. So, and you can just watch me too, that's fine. You can also do this with watercolor paper. I'm getting this area damp. I put clean water here, and I know you can't really see it, but that clean water is going to create an opportunity for these colors to blend together in a little bit different way. So I'm letting the water soak into the fibers of the paper, and then now look what happens. See how that just grows, that beautiful color. And this technique is called wet and wet. So I know that purple's going to be nice with that. So I can put some purple in there. But you can see some of the nice effects that you can get just by mixing colors together and playing with them and seeing what will happen. Okay? So that I wanted to show you about that. And later on, we're going to do some mixing of our primary colors. The primary colors are red and yellow and blue. And we can actually take those colors to mix a nice dark. And we'll be doing that in our project as well. So if you want to buy watercolor paper, and I didn't mention this before, but I like at Michael's, they have, what's that called? Strathmore is a nice, if you can get to Michael's or just order it. And Dick Blick has a nice watercolor pad as well. And you could maybe find it on Amazon, I would imagine.
Possibly, yes.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure. And the Strathmore is a good one too. It's a nice watercolor paper. So you want to look for one that's called, let's see, it's 140 pound. It's just called 140 pound, and then it's cold press. It's not hot press. You want to look for the one that's called cold press. Okay, so when you get some watercolor paper, if you choose to, you can play around with mixing colors together. All right, so let's move on to our painting. I have my watercolor paper here in front of me. This is a nice paper. It's got some tooth to it. In other words, it's not smooth, it's rough, and that's why it's called cold press. So you want to look for that one. And then, let's see. Now this is a little bit, it's rough on both sides. Okay, I would go with, I don't know. Either side will do, I think, in this situation. Okay, so we're going to talk about what we're going to do tonight.
Is everybody doing okay? Can I get a thumbs up?
Yeah, good.
Thank you.
Okay, so here are some ideas of where we're headed. Talking about the night sky, the evening sky. We're talking about sunsets. And then we're going to be creating a nice background with, we kind of call it a silhouette. In other words, everything is quite dark in the background, right? This one is a good example of a low horizon line. In other words, where the land and the sky meet is low on this photograph. Here's an example of a high horizon line. So there's lots of lake here and this cute little bird, and then a higher horizon, and then the sun up here. So that's a little different. Here's another one. Move this out of the way so you can see it. So this is so cool, the way that, you've got this gorgeous background, and then we see the subject matter in the picture is very dark. Okay, so you can get kind of as complicated or be as simple with this project as you want to. There's another one. I love that bird's kind of dripping water. Beautiful. And then one more. This is at Acadia National Park in Maine. And I did get to go there a few years ago, and it was just gorgeous. Beautiful place to visit. Again, really low horizon, lots of sky, and that beautiful little slice of moon. So maybe those will give you some inspiration, but we're going to start with our sky when we paint. And we're going to get our sky done, and then we'll get the land or the water done if you choose to do water. I think these examples that I have are water. Okay, so this is supposedly a lake and some land in the distance, and then my foreground are the trees, but they're all dark, right? They're not black. I mix the dark by mixing my primary colors together, and that's what we're going to do. So here's another one. This one has
I got your first comment.
some hills in the distance that are a little bit lighter, and then some hills here with some pine trees poking up. Okay, so here we go. Get these out of the way. So when you're doing your organizing, you want to think about on your watercolor paper, I think you don't have to draw very many lines for this project, but if you want to have a higher horizon, we want to avoid the center. So here's the center. Where's the center? About here, right? We want to avoid that. It's just not a real pleasing composition. So I'm going to raise my horizon up a bit. So it's here, okay? Now that could just be, you know, just that the lake, and maybe there's, you know, maybe not, we're not seeing too much across the lake. This is another one with a little lower horizon line here, with perhaps these are pine trees or maybe some hills in the distance. So that's all you need to do to start with, is to organize on your watercolor paper where that horizon line is going to go. Okay, so I'm going to make mine about 3/4 of the way up, and I'm just going to make, I don't have to use a ruler, doesn't have to be perfect. And you don't want it going down like that, but just try and get it somewhat across the paper. And with watercolor, we do draw lightly with our pencil. You don't want to press too hard. You just want to get, you know, some of your basic things organized. And of course, we can always erase. The other cool thing, just so that you know this, is that once I've painted on this piece of paper and it's dry, I can go back and draw on it for anything that I want to make. And maybe I'll, you know, draw some trees, or maybe I'll just do the trees without drawing them. Either way, it's totally cool. All right, so I think I'm going to make some hills here for mine, because it's kind of good for me to show you this technique. So here's a hill here. Well, that's kind of close to the center, isn't it? It's good for you to see me having to erase. If I can find the eraser. Excuse me. So, yeah, I'm going to move it. These are good erasers too, by the way. These are kneaded erasers. And these are nice because they don't ruin your watercolor paper. So there's my distant hill. And then I can make another one maybe here. And maybe something like that. And these could be, end up being pine trees. That's totally fine. Okay, everybody with me on this first part here? And the other thing is that when you're painting, you can change what you've drawn. You don't have to completely follow the lines that you make. You can erase, excuse me, you can paint over and change it up, okay? Yeah, that's good. Okay. So once you have that part done, we're going to start painting, right? Just jump right in, okay? Is this focused for them?
No, not at the moment, because there's no contrast for it to focus on. Put your hand back on there.
Oh, there it goes. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to be creating my background. And let's see, I'll use the bigger brush. What I want you to do is I want you to take your brush and I want you to get this all wet, the whole thing. And don't worry about this that you've drawn here. Just get the whole thing wet. So I'm using my brush to get that plain water onto my watercolor paper. Okay, so we want to do that first because we're creating a wash and we want this whole situation to be very soft. So when we talk about it being soft, it means that these colors that I put on my paper are going to blend together nicely. If I work on a dry sheet of paper, that is a lot harder to do when I'm doing a sky. So I'm going to get it wet. Okay. So I'm covering this up. Now it's got to absorb into the fibers of this paper. The thicker your paper, the longer it's going to take. And, you know, it can also start to get dry on you. So, you know, you might have to go back and re-wet it. That's okay. And yeah, I think that should be good. If it starts to curl like this on you, don't worry. I just kind of go like this and it goes back down. Some people tape their watercolor paper down to like a piece of chipboard or something. I don't do that very much because I like to be able to tip and move my paper. Okay, so I've got this pretty well wet, and I know you can't really tell that it's wet. We do want to avoid big, huge puddles that are on top of the paper, you know, like if you poured some maple syrup onto a plate and it's not gonna soak into the pancakes, because if it's just on a plate, it's gonna just sit there. So you have to, you gotta give it time to get absorbed into the fibers of the paper. So we're gonna think about our wash for the sky. And for this one, I started right here with my yellow. I'm going to work with my yellow first. And there's no rush. You just take your time. But we're going to work with first yellow. Then we're going to go into some orange. And then we're going to go into a bit of the magenta. Put this here so you can see. There's my paint. And then we can go into some blue or purple. And the nice thing about that order is that if I took yellow and mixed it with purple, I'm going to get a gray sort of a color, and I don't want that necessarily in my sunset. So I know that the yellow and the orange are going to look nice together. These three will look nice together, or yeah, the red would too, and the magenta. But I'm going to do my blue last. And I really don't want to get the blue and the yellow mixed together, because then I'll get green, you know. But maybe, you know, maybe you want to have a green sky, and that sometimes that happens, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, they had storms down in Northfield the other day, and people were like chasing the storms or something. It was kind of
Oh
fun.
yeah, I saw them along the road.
Yeah, they were pretty excited about that storm. All right, so I'm going to get this whole thing with color on it. And that kind of a wash, this is called a wash. This kind of a wash is called a variegated wash. In other words, you know, and I always say it's like that yarn, you know, the yarn that has all the colors in it, all the different colors, or perhaps it's a bunch of different blues. But that's called variegated yarn. It's the same idea here. This kind of wash we're going to do, it's going to have lots of colors in it. All right. And I want you to notice that the brush strokes that I did for this one, for instance, I'm not going back and forth like I'm painting a wall. I'm maybe kind of going this way and then this way and then this way. So it doesn't have to be all perfectly uniform. This one is much different. And I know that it's a lot brighter than what you're seeing here. But I'm going to start with yellow because that's my cleanest. I want that to be nice and clean. Okay, so you can either watch me and then do it, or you can just follow along. Either way, whatever works for you. So I've got yellow on my brush, and I'm just gonna go right across here with it. So, and I'm gonna try to avoid putting that yellow in the center, because I know that's my strongest. Well, the magenta would be really strong too, wouldn't it? But I'm gonna try and off center it a little bit here. Okay, and for this, I'm using my arm. You can see my whole arm is moving, as opposed to just like this. You see the difference? You know, and you can even hold your brush this way if that works for you. But I usually go like this, and I probably talk so much that this is all dry now. Probably. Okay, so I'm just gonna go for it. I'm thinking going this way. Okay, so whoa. So you can see that this is all very pretty. I'm going right to the end of my paper. I don't just stop. I want to go all the way across. And I'm going to put some more yellow over here. And maybe a little bit down here. Okay, it is starting to dry just a bit. If I want to grow a shape, I can just add water and smooth it out, and it will change the value. In other words, it'll make it a little bit lighter. So I'm going to dip into some orange, and I can mix it on my tray. Here's my tray. You know, that was starting to get dried up, but then you just put a little water with it. And then I can pop in a bit of this pretty orange color here that I think is nice. So I want to kind of change my way that I'm painting this. And if I want it to be a bit stronger, because it's wet, now I'm getting stronger, aren't I? Because it's wet, it's just still soft. I don't have any hard edges. And if I want to, I can go back into the yellow and get it stronger and over here. Okay, and now I'm going to go into this magenta. And again, I can mix it in here and then put it on my paper, or I can just use it straight. Let's see what happens. Might be a little bit wild, but I think it's going to be pretty strong. Whoa, okay, so you guys can see that. That got a little bit wild, but it's pretty. So what can I do to lighten that up a little bit? Get some clean water on your brush, dry it off a little bit, and then take your brush and sort of pull through it. Now that color's right on my brush, and I'm going to rinse it again, dry it off a bit, and I can do that again to get some of that really strong color out if I want to. Okay, so I'm just sort of playing with this to get my nice wash. I'm going back and forth from the colors that I've got here and seeing how they look right here on my paper. Okay. If your paper starts to dry, you can always re-wet it. Some people like to use a spray bottle, right, Tom, to re-wet.
Yeah, to re-wet it.
Yeah. Okay, so my eye is kind of going right here. I know that's hard for you guys to see, but that's where the biggest concentration of color is for mine. Okay, and now I'm going to go into my blue. Get some of that out of there. Maybe put a little more magenta up here. So I know that the magenta is going to look just fine with blue. It's also going to look nice with purple, so I can get my purple and pop that across here at the top of my painting. And then I can take some of that and kind of bring it down a little bit. It's nice to bring some of that purple that's in that sky and bring some of it down into where the water's going to go. Sometimes I get a little bit too much paint, too much color, and then I'm like, okay, I've got to take a little bit of that out. And another thing to remember is that watercolor is going to dry a lot lighter once it dries. Okay, so this is looking pretty nice. Now I could put blue down here if I want to, or I could just leave it like this. And because remember, here's my land and this is going to be water. So you keep working on yours until you get it so that you're happy with it. And then if you have a hair dryer, that would probably be a good thing, because we'll have to get this dry before we go to the next thing. You know, if you think of the reflection from the sun, it might have some shimmery marks going back and forth like that. And then I might do a little bit of yellow in here. I don't want to put the yellow with the purple though. I'm kind of trying to stay away from that. So for this, I'm just going back and forth with my hand. Well, I don't think I'm going to put any blue down at the bottom. Just maybe a little bit of purple. Maybe right in here. Whoops, that was not what I wanted. Another thing you can do, just so you know, a tissue can blot stuff up. If you do something and you're like, oh, I don't like that, then just, you can blot it. That's just fine. Okay, so we've created some nice colors, some nice different interesting shapes. And I'm going to let this dry, I think. Another thing that we do in watercolor that I've kind of forgot to mention is that the paper is your white. So the white of the paper is your lightest light. And you can see here I've pretty much covered up the whole thing. If I were to paint some flowers or something different, I would not cover the whole thing. In fact, I have to think about saving, we call it saving the white. So we have to reserve that white paper so that we can have the white. Think about a white picket fence. You'd have to paint around it, as opposed to with acrylics, you can just paint it white, and you do your white last, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to get this dry, and I have my hair dryer, and if you have one handy, you can do that too. Might pull up a few lights, and I'm just going to repeat this process just to show you one more time. If I want to get light again in this, dry your brush off and then pull out some of the color, and you can see that some of that is going onto my brush. And I can do that to sort of change the value, change it so that I have a variety of lights and darks in this. Okay. All right. So what should I do with the hairdryer? I mean, is it okay with the, where did I put it? Oh, okay. So we'll mute so you guys don't have to hear me hairdryer. On YouTube, they just speed it up. And all of a sudden it's dry. Or they're like, we'll be back in a minute. We have to dry this. Right?
I didn't mean, I took your plug.
That's okay. We'll go that way, or does it have to go the other way? Here, you do it, okay? Thank you. All right.
Welcome back.
Yep.
You can leave it plugged in case you need it again.
Oh, okay, okay. So you want to make sure that this piece of paper is very dry before you proceed, okay? That's really important. And I think I mentioned earlier that a watercolor painting can have several layers. In other words, we're working from a wash, and then we do another little bit, and then we let it dry, and then we can do more. So it can be quite a process. It can also be very simple. In other words, sometimes we just paint our image, like maybe a beautiful flower, and then you're done, right? We would do the background usually later after we've done a flower, for instance. And other times we would kind of do them at the same time. So there are a lot of different approaches. And I think for me, that's one of the reasons I enjoy it so much, because this is, you know, what's happening on this paper kind of happens. And it's sort of magical in that way, that these colors make these gorgeous washes. And so learning to do a wash is very important, and they're going to be different every time. I mean, you can see this one, that one's a lot different than the one that I just did. So, all right. So as long as your paper is dry, you can proceed. What are we going to do next? Well, we're thinking about what we want in the far distance. So let's see here. In this painting, there's a hill back here that is lighter than this hill. Do you see that? Because things that are farther away are going to appear to be lighter and less detailed, right? So this one's a little bit lighter, and then this one is going to be darker. So I'm going to start with my farthest hill in the distance, and that's what I have right there. How are we going to do this? Well, we're going to mix up some colors. Instead of using black, I'm going to show you some ideas for doing that. And I had a little piece of scrap paper. I'll use that. So here's my little piece of scrap paper, which, by the way, I like to have these nearby so that I can test my colors before I put them on my painting, because I may not get it right the first time. I hardly ever do. So that's why I like to test in a situation like this. I need to test my mixtures. Well, I could be wrong, but you have to kind of fiddle around with the colors to get the one you want. And that just takes diving in and saying, okay, so I'm going to use this much of this one, and then I'm going to use a little bit more of the other one and see what I get. You may not like it, and you might need to add more, or add more color to it. But by mixing the primary colors together, which are red, yellow, and blue, I can get a really nice dark. So if you only had those three colors, you could do a lot. You could make the secondary colors, and you could make tertiary colors. So here's my mixing tray, and I don't mind that orange is on there because it can just go right into the mix. So I'm going to take some blue. Here's my blue. I'm going to mix it all together, and I do want to have a really nice, strong dark for this. And this takes a few minutes here, so just be patient. We did this lesson with some kids earlier today, and it took me a while to get the right color. So you can see that's kind of a nice purpley dark. It's edging towards purple, right? Let's put a little bit of red in there. And let's see what happens if we put just a bit of yellow. Now you want to make sure you wash your brush before you dip into that yellow. Okay. Now I'm going to see if I like this. It's not strong enough. It's kind of a pretty gray. You see? So I need to get darker, and I need to get stronger. So, you know, you can pop in some purple and just be okay with mixing these colors together until you get something nice and dark. That's pretty right there. So I stayed with it and I kept mixing until I got that nice purpley dark. Now, some people would say, why don't you just use black? Well, you could use black, but it's not very interesting. And when I mix a dark, you're learning something, right? You're learning to mix some colors together. And you've got a dark that it's related to my painting because it has the same colors that are in my background are going to be in my wash, excuse me, are going to be related to the background that I make. Okay, so I'm liking that. If I want to warm it up a little bit more. Yep.
Judy Marcus, what color used to mix this color? Red, purple, and question mark.
Okay, so Judy and everybody, blue. There's some blue. That's blue. And every time I go, I dip my brush into the water. I rinse, I try and get some of the water off it on the edge of the container thingy. Okay, so red. And then a little bit of yellow. That's a beautiful brown right there, by the way.
Oh, God,
yeah,
sure
that's
is.
very pretty. So these are edging more towards the purples. This one is a little warmer because of the yellow. Yellow's a warm color. So, you know, let's say you want it all to be more like that.
That is a fantastic
Yeah, that's
brown.
a beautiful, beautiful brown. So I still think for mine I want it to be darker. So I put more blue in there. And I like that right there. Okay, that's what I'm going to use. So make sure you mix up enough because this is all going to be one dark color. It's not going to be lots of different colors. Okay, so there's my color that I mixed up. And I'm going to start with this hill back here. Now you may not have one of those, and that's okay. I'm going to add a little bit of water to my mixture here to lighten it up so it's not quite so dark. And let's just check. And then I'm just going to paint that little section up here. And for this, I'm resting my hand on the table, and I'm using just the motion of my fingers, which is a little different than when we did the wash. So you can see this covers pretty much right over. If you don't like the shape, then just change it. It's okay. Doesn't have to follow exactly what you did. Okay, so there's that little distant hill, way far away. Okay, so I want to give that a little time to dry, but actually I can work on this other side here. So now I'm going to move away, excuse me, I'm going to move from here over here into this area. And I'm going to show you how you can create some pine trees if you want to in the distance. So just going to get a little drink of water really quickly while that dries. So here we go. I'm starting over here, and this is darker than that. And I'm just going to paint this section of land. So I'm looking across the lake and I see, I see what I see across there. But it's going to be it's called a flat wash. In other words, it's all kind of the same value. It's not, doesn't have lights and darks in it. It's all the same. And that's called a flat wash. Okay. So I'm just scooting this across here. And I'm going to need to mix up some more paint. I can see that right now. All right. I did not wet this before I painted it. I'm working on the dry surface. So sometimes, sometimes we wet the paper first, and other times we work on the dry. So this is such a small little area, and it's sort of precise, and I didn't want it to run, which it would do if I had wet it. Now that might be another, I know, I'm kind of running out of paint. So this would be, that's another technique. How about we say that? I'm just painting this over now. I got to make more paint. But see, so we've got that organized. This is a little bit not perfect. That's okay. Maybe it's kind of a shoreline that's got something going on. Whoops.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Okay, so I got a little bit of paint there. How do I get rid of it? Clean water. And I'm just going to take my brush and see if I can get it out of there with my clean brush. And it came up. And then I'm just going to get some tissue. So it's good when I make, that's okay. I can always go over it. So it left a bit of white, but that's okay. I don't worry about that.
That usually doesn't happen.
I know, but it's okay.
It must still be a little damp.
It might be a bit damp yet. Okay, so I need to mix more paint because I want to do some pine trees. So I better hurry up. I'm using those same colors, the red and the blue. And okay. Going a little faster then, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Well, we'll have time for them to show us what they've done, which will be nice. And I'm going to have to clean out my paint thing, my paint tin. So you can buy these, and you know they come in all different sizes and shapes. And
why didn't we use the brown instead of mixing to make a brown?
Well, you
That's
could.
From Linda Wassner.
Yeah, well, you could use brown. Here's brown. You know, you can put some brown in there. So why didn't we? That's a good question. And I think I sort of talked about it a little bit ago, but first of all, I wanted you to see that you can mix colors. If all you had were the primary colors, which are red, yellow, and blue, and you didn't have any other colors, you can mix a nice brown. And it doesn't have to be the brown right out of the container. It can be, you know, a reddish brown, or maybe it's a bluish brown. Maybe it's cooler. So blue is a cool color. So if I put blue in with this, it's going to become a lot cooler. And if I put yellow in there, it's going to be warmer, or even red. Right? So that's why, you know, you can certainly use the pigments that are right in here, but I wanted you to see what you can do with these paints. Okay, so this is starting to dry, but I think I'll be okay. I'm going to do some little pine trees in the distance, and all I'm doing is working from this area here. Maybe I'll do them over here. I'm going to work from this area here and then bring them up from here. So in other words, I'm going to just kind of, this needs to get darker. I can paint over it because it's dry. There. I got this a little bit, put a little more paint on here. I don't know if you noticed that. Okay, good. So now I can take my brush and pop up some pine trees that are poking up. We wouldn't see the details of the pine trees. We just would say, oh, that's probably a pine tree back there. Maybe. You know, and I'm doing my brush back and forth. And if you don't want to make pine trees, that's totally fine. Just adds a little something a little different. Maybe this one goes up that tall. Okay, so it could just be as simple as that. And maybe I would add some more on the other side. It's totally optional, but okay, I could do some over here too. That's not a very nice looking pine tree.
Oh, they don't all look real nice in the real world either.
Yeah, they're all different, aren't they?
Yeah.
Funny looking one. It's fun to do these, and of course they're so far away that we wouldn't see too much detail, you know. And I do want to darken this a little more under here. So I just added another layer of dark on top of my first layer because it just needed to be a little darker. And that's totally fine as long as it's dry. It should be good to go. Okay, let's give it another little one over here. Okay, so depending on what you want to have in the foreground, I'm going to do a tree just so that you can see me do a tree. You don't have to do a tree if you don't want to. Are you all ready to move on? Yep. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some land down here at the bottom. Now you could certainly draw it first if you feel that that would be helpful. I think this is kind of a nice shape here. Notice that it comes, you know, it isn't right at the halfway mark. It comes a little past. This other one that I did is just a little slice. So you can think about what you want to make. And I think this one can handle a little bit more. And kind of come here. And you could also add another, maybe there's an island or some little area of land here too, and you could paint that, right, Tom? That'd be kind of cute.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, so, you know, you can use your imagination if you want to add a bird or something like that. You can draw that first, and then you would just draw it first, and then you would paint it. Same idea. All right, so again, we want to have enough color mixed up to do this. And you can see that I have to keep mixing, and that's okay. And okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to paint this area, and I'm not going to wet it first. I'm just going to get it painted. So I'm just taking my brush and actually just filling this shape in that I drew. Okay. If I want to make some grasses, those can come right from this wash where it's damp. It's quite wet. I just use, just kind of like I did the pine trees, I just use my brush to pull from this damp area and then just bring my brush upward if I want to have some grasses. And you know, you can do this now while it's wet, or you can always add these later. No worries, you can add them later, but I'm just using the tip of my brush to sort of make some marks that are going up. I guess that's the best way to explain it. Okay, that's good, and maybe just a few here and there. So the next thing I'm going to do is my tree, and trees are, you know, you think, oh, they're so hard to make. I don't think I can do a tree, but really they're not that hard. I'm going to show you a pretty easy way to do them. Okay, and that, yeah, that's good. So the tree that I'm going to make is going to be similar to this. It's starting from where the land is here, from my foreground, and I'm going to take my brush and just go straight up. Now this one curves because trees aren't all perfectly straight, so don't worry, you know, you can make a little curve with your brush. If you want to, you can draw it, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm going to start right here for where my tree is going to go, and I'm using sort of the side of my brush as opposed to the tip of the brush, and I've got to have enough enough paint on here. So this is pretty well loaded with paint. These are nice thirsty brushes, by the way, and I am kind of anchoring my hand here. I'm not using my whole arm, but I'm kind of going like this. So anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So I'm starting here, and I'm just going to go up like that. Now I can see that I need to get darker because trees are not see-through. So I need to get a little darker, and that's okay because this is nice and wet, and I can do that now. And keep in mind that if you need to do it again, in other words, if you need to brush some more paint on here, just let it dry and then you can go over it again. Okay, so there's my tree, and I'm going to do some quick little branches here. Just taking the tip of my brush and sort of working from the inside here of the trunk and just working my way up here, you know, with the brush. Now you don't have to even complete all the marks that you make because the viewer's eye sort of finishes it. Okay, so there's a little tree planted by the water. It's a happy tree. You know, and you can always add more of the grasses around the tree if you want to. Maybe, you know, maybe there's some kind of a little animal or something you want to add. I don't know.
Well, why not? There's plenty of animals around the lake.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so I'm almost done, and then we'll have time for you guys to show us what you did. You don't have to, but it sure be nice to see the painting that you made today. I'm going to do one more tree, and that's going to go right about here. I think this one's going to be a crooked tree. It's kind of a crooked, funny looking tree. So Saturday we have a drawing class, don't we, Tom? And it's
Yeah, we've got, it's going to be an owl, isn't it?
yeah, it's going to be a snowy owl. Now we've painted the snowy owl in my watercolor class, and I'll tell you, they just did such a beautiful job on that snowy owl. And then I think we had another class where we did a drawing of the snowy owl. So this will be a drawing class, and you might want to join us. So that's kind of a funny looking branch, but it's okay. I'll put one over here. Sometimes I like to turn it around and do it upside down. Works a little bit better. There. That looks kind of funny. So sometimes you have to change it a little bit, don't you? All right, that's a little bit better. Okay, so we now have our trees. I think this one's got to come over here, come in front. There. Okay, so let's just recap what we've done today. Talked about mixing some colors together, getting confident with color mixing, not always just using them right out of the paint set, but mixing on a little tray. We talked about mixing together our complementary colors to create a nice warm dark or a cooler dark. You can make beautiful browns that way. We did what we call a variegated wash, and that wash we put over the whole paper. What else?
Flat wash.
Yep, and then we used the technique, and this was wet and wet. So we did the wet and wet technique, and then we did a flat wash in our sections here in the distance. And that's a little bit different, kind of a wash. And we talked about perspective, really, because this is a bit lighter, this is a little bit darker, and then we did our foreground. So
which was wet on dry.
yes, we worked on dry surface for these parts to it. So a lot of techniques were covered tonight. I hope you guys had a good time, and we're going to let Tom take over and call on you so that you can share what you've done tonight.
Could everybody please unmute and turn their cameras on? And in the meantime, we will start with Doreen.
Yeah, and if you're not done, don't worry. You know, that's okay. Just show us what you've done so far.
See that okay?
Yeah, nice, Doreen. I like your wash. You did a good job on that. Very pretty.
Kim, would you like to show what you've done today? Unmute, please.
Hello.
Hi. Would you like to show?
Sure. I'm not quite finished with it, but
That's okay. Nice.
Yeah, you got a nice feeling of distance in the background. Very nice.
Okay, thank you.
thank you. I enjoyed it.
How about the Matthew Price gang?
I will go first.
Oh,
A little closer, please. Thank
Oh,
you.
that's very nice. I like your pine trees and your sky and your water. Very nice.
Oh, that's nice. Very nice.
Very cool.
Mm.
Oh, there you go. And you said you haven't painted before.
Cool.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
One more.
Another nice one.
There, look at her tree. That's a beautiful
Nice
tree.
tree, yes. Nice colors.
You know, already I can compliment you guys on the fact that your washes, you know, we call it a wash, but the sky that you did, so, I mean, really beautiful. Really nice.
Thank you. Linda Wilsner?
Ooh,
Oh,
beautiful.
Wait, can you see it? Am I
Yeah.
doing it? Or? Oh,
Wow.
Very nice. Very nice.
Mm-mm.
Thank you.
Please hold
Did
that
you
up
say you
again.
haven't painted before, Linda? Or
I've never painted before.
no way.
Well, we'll wait, keep it up. I want to take a picture. It's beautiful.
Oh, please. Are you serious?
It is beautiful.
Oh, I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Nice, Linda.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Joan. How about you?
Can you see mine?
Raise it up a little bit.
Okay.
There
I
we
couldn't,
go. Little
okay.
higher.
Yeah, nice.
Very nice.
Yeah,
Thank
you guys did really good on the trees too. Really nice. Beautiful.
Thank you. Linda?
Am I on the screen
A
anywhere?
little higher, please. Okay, a little more.
That's a
There
lovely
you
one
go.
as well. Look at this, the water and the way the sky is reflected into that water.
Yep. Can you raise it up a little, please?
Yeah,
Thank you.
look at that just little hint of color. And because she dampened it first, that's how you get that effect. So way to go. Very nice.
I'm not seeing them. Am I doing
Yes.
something wrong that I can't see the others?
Are you in gallery view?
Yeah. I wonder if we have to put it on mute because it's always showing who's talking and I never see the one who's showing.
So up in the right-hand corner, we do gallery view. That does it? Okay.
Yeah, if you do gallery view, you can see everybody at one time.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Thank you.
It's a little,
no worries.
grid, right?
Yep, it's a
Yeah,
little grid.
got it. Now I should be able to see them. We should all hold them up at the end.
Okay,
We
that
will.
works.
Good idea.
Judy Marcus? Don't forget to unmute, Judy.
So I had a lot of dark colors. So I'm still kind of working on it.
Oh,
very nice.
Just
Very nice.
Thank you.
beautiful.
Okay, and the other Judy?
That's Judy.
I don't know her last name.
Mine's not doing well.
Raise it up a little higher, please.
Are. Come on now. Look at that, Judy. That's really pretty.
That is going well. Yeah.
I think it's
Okay.
lovely.
Danielle, can you turn your video on, please?
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Pretty.
Very pretty.
Mhm.
Good job. Look at those trees.
Mhm.
You guys must be studying the trees. Nice.
All right, thank you. Laura, how are you? It's your turn.
There's another nice one.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. Good.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Good.
You're welcome. Virginia, are you ready to show? You have to unmute and turn on your video, please. Thank you. Oh,
Oh, that's Lynn.
that's on. Oh, there we go.
Ooh.
Her virtual background is
Yeah.
interfering.
Very nice. Beautiful colors, Virginia.
Thank you.
Thank
Good.
you. Is it, am I saying it right,
That's
Hong Lin?
Hong Lin.
Yeah.
It's your turn.
Um,
Can you raise it up?
Uh-oh.
Oh, there we go. Oh, I see what's going on. Okay.
That's very pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that, those trees and the pine trees.
Wow.
Very nice. Did we get everybody?
I believe we did.
So I liked, I think it was Linda's idea, if we just all hold our pictures up. I don't know if you can take a screenshot of that. Is this being recorded, Tom?
This is being recorded.
Okay, so this is being recorded, so you can always go back and view it again. Very nice.
Yeah, they were pretty.
I'm very impressed.
Wow, very nice.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so join us again next time if you're interested. And yeah, I'll just take this off really quick. So thank you for being with us and hope you have a great rest of your night. And we'll see you again. I'll see Judy tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Oh, Barb had
Bye
to
now.
leave.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.